A clear and well-managed set of requirements forms the backbone of any successful software project. Whether you're developing a new system or enhancing an existing one, understanding what your stakeholders really need is paramount. Imagine starting a project without knowing exactly what the end users expect. It would be like setting off on a journey without a map. Requirements engineering provides that essential map. It ensures that your development efforts are aligned with business priorities and deliver maximum value. To understand the process, it's helpful to break it up into several key areas. Requirements elicitation and analysis, the balance between functional and non-functional requirements, the role of user experience, how we capture requirements through user stories, and the Agile approach to change management. Let's begin with the two core activities, requirements elicitation and requirements analysis. Although these terms are often used interchangeably, they play distinct roles. Requirements elicitation is essentially about gathering information. It's the process where we talk to stakeholders, clients, users, and even team members to collect all the necessary details about what the system should do and why. This stage is critical, yet challenging, as stakeholders sometimes find it difficult to express their needs in a way that's directly useful for developers. Common techniques include stakeholder identification, which recognizes everyone who has an interest in the project. Interviews and surveys, where we ask targeted questions to gather insights. Workshops and brainstorming to allow groups to collaboratively uncover hidden needs. Observation, which involves watching users interact with current systems to spot pain points. And document analysis, in which existing materials such as process flows and user manuals are reviewed. For instance, in an Agile project, a product owner might begin by conducting a series of interviews with key users. This initial round of elicitation is all about discovering the what and the why behind the project. Once we have a comprehensive list of raw requirements, we move on to requirements analysis. This phase is where we refine, prioritize, and detail those gathered requirements to make them actionable. This typically involves activities such as prioritization, to determine which requirements are most valuable or urgent, using methods such as Moscow. Refinement, where high-level requirements are broken down into more detailed, manageable user stories. Validation of requirements, to ensure they are not only feasible but also truly represent stakeholder needs. Sometimes, prototypes or wireframes are created at this stage. Defining acceptance criteria that make explicit the conditions under which a requirement is considered complete. And ongoing collaboration with stakeholders and team members to clarify and refine the details. To put it simply, elicitation gathers the information, while analysis transforms it into a clear, actionable roadmap for development. You can think of these two stages as a continuous cycle, especially in Agile projects, where new insights can lead to constant re-evaluation of requirements. Cycling from one activity to the other allows the process to evolve from raw data to refined, actionable tasks. When setting out the requirements for a project, it is important to differentiate between functional and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are about what the system should do. They describe the specific behaviors, tasks, or functions that the system must perform. For example, you might have requirements for user authentication, data processing, and transaction handling. These requirements are often expressed as user stories, complete with acceptance criteria that provide clear, testable conditions. In contrast, non-functional requirements specify how the system should perform. They focus on the quality attributes of the system, such as performance, accessibility, and security. Just like functional requirements, testable criteria must be defined for non-functional requirements so that we know when they are achieved. For performance, for instance, the system might be required to respond within 2 seconds. Accessibility could be defined with reference to guidelines like WCAG 2.2, where online test services are available, and for security we might mandate that all sensitive data be encrypted both in transit and at rest. Non-functional requirements address aspects that affect the overall user experience and system performance rather than individual functions. Both types of requirements are crucial. While functional requirements tell us what the system does, non-functional requirements dictate the standard by which it performs those tasks. Closely related to non-functional requirements is the concept of user experience, or UX. UX is all about how the user interacts with the system, ensuring that the experience is intuitive, accessible, and ultimately satisfying. The focus here is on the user's journey through the system. Like other analytical processes, effective UX design is based on established activities and techniques. The process starts with user research, in which data is collected through interviews, surveys, and observations to understand user needs and behaviors. Personas can be used to organize the collected information. Personas are fictional characters that represent typical users and help with visualizing their goals and challenges. Designing preliminary versions of the user interface through wireframing and prototyping lets the team explore ideas and gather feedback, and engaging real users to test these prototypes helps to identify areas for improvement. In many Agile projects, UX designers work side by side with the development team. They create prototypes, test them with real users, and iteratively refine the design based on feedback. This ongoing process helps to ensure that the system not only meets the functional requirements but also delivers an exceptional user experience. A key tool in Agile development is the user story. User stories are brief, simple descriptions of a feature from the perspective of the end user, typically written in the format, "As a type of user, I want an action so that some benefit is realized." For example, in a hospital management system, you might encounter user stories like, "As a patient, I want to book an appointment with a doctor so that I can receive medical consultation." And, "As a doctor, I want to access a patient's medical history so that I can provide informed care." Such stories ensure that every feature delivered adds value to the user. They are collated into the product backlog, which is a prioritized list of all user stories, enhancements, and bug fixes. Regular sessions, often known as backlog grooming or refinement meetings, are held to review and update this list. When it's time for a development sprint, the team selects the highest priority stories, and further analysis is carried out to elaborate the requirement and define clear acceptance criteria. This iterative process not only keeps the project on track but also ensures that each increment delivers valuable and usable functionality. It's a collaborative effort, involving stakeholders, developers, testers, and product owners working together to achieve a shared vision. One of the most significant advantages of Agile methodologies is their approach to change. In traditional projects, changes in requirements could be disruptive and costly. However, Agile embraces change as a natural part of the development process. In an Agile environment, the product backlog serves as a living document. If a client introduces a new requirement or if market conditions change, that requirement is added to the backlog. Its priority can then be evaluated relative to other tasks. This flexible approach means that the project can adapt to new information or shifting business priorities without derailing progress. The continuous cycle of feedback and adjustment minimizes the risk of costly rework later in the project. By regularly reviewing and updating the requirements, the development team ensures that the final product remains relevant and aligned with stakeholder needs throughout the life cycle of the project. In this video, we've looked at how gathering comprehensive requirements through elicitation, refining them through analysis, and balancing functional with non-functional needs all contribute to building a system that not only works but works well for its users. By integrating user experience practices and utilizing Agile techniques such as user stories and continuous backlog management, we can navigate the complexities of modern software development with confidence.